Welcome back to The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon, being joined by the Empty Netters podcast. Chris Powers, Dan Powers. They have local ties here, by the way. Chris Powers, a Duke graduate, so ties here to the Triangle. And Dan Powers, a known Canes hater at times. So, Dan, let's actually jump right into this. I'm being kidding here with you at times. I know you've been critical of the Canes at times, so you know what? It's been fair criticism, but Game 3 coming up. Is it fair to say Canes in 5 now after these first 2 games, Dan?
I think I said when we did our season or the playoff previews, I said Canes in 5.
I think you did. Yeah. You did.
I said Canes in 5. I won't lie. The way they're playing, how calm, cool, and collected they are, I would not be shocked if we saw a sweep. And we talked about the Devils, not necessarily the best team at home going into last year. So a sweep is on the table. But in my opinion, yeah, there's no way this series goes beyond 5 games. The Canes just look too solid. And my man, Frederik Andersen, shutting the door, slamming the door.
Yeah. Hey, Dennis, we decided we're calling Freddie Iceberg the rest of the way because he's fresh as lettuce.
Yep.
And you hate the injury history, but I don't know. Something about those not that many games on those legs. He's looking like a 25-year-old out there. We're loving it.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, Chris, because this was the big concern going into the playoffs for the Carolina Hurricanes was, all right, if they're going to ride Frederik Andersen on consecutive starts throughout the postseason, that's something we saw last year, especially in the Rangers series. I know you guys were very much invested in that second-round series between the Rangers and Canes watching that. Freddie wasn't great in that series because of the cumulative number of starts. Chris, do you think at some point, if let's say they take a 3-0 series lead, do they go Kochetkov Game 4? Is that something that you possibly see?
It's such a great question, and something as native New Englanders we were dealing with as Bruins fans with the tandem that they had going for a long time. It's kind of like, what do you want to do? And honestly, Dennis, I kind of lean towards what the players think, because I've heard from the guys a lot there that they're like, listen, we just want to know who's behind us every night so we can play that game. And if he feels locked in, if he's liking the shots and the players are liking him back there, then I think you ride it out. But it's a really interesting call because he has to be honest with the team and everybody about how he's feeling. Because while the lack of games early in the season gives him rest now, it also doesn't have your body in like ready to go play every other night playoff hockey shape. So that's just something you got to keep an eye on, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, Dan hates the tandem.
All right.
Absolutely not. Here's the reality, man. In the playoffs, if you have 2 goalies, you have 0 goalies. I genuinely believe that so passionately. And we know that these guys are the biggest competitors and they want to start every single night. And Freddie definitely is that type of a player. The only way you decide to start someone else, even if you have a 3-0 lead, is if the coaching staff can see that there's noticeable wear and tear and they need a rest. These guys are never going to ask for a rest. But if the coaches see it and they're like, we got to sit him down, fine, do it. But if that's not happening, you play your guy every game. Do not take a hot goalie out of the net.
Yeah.
And if you're 3-0, that's 3 wins. Why would you take that hot goalie out of the net? You play Freddie every single game unless you have to take
till the wheels come off.
Till the wheels come off, baby.
And that's a really fair point, because if you get that sweep or you win in 5, you're probably going to have 4 or 5 days of rest before the next series starts, just by the way the NHL schedules everything. So maybe, hey, go win early, go win fast. And Dan, I'll start with you on this one. By the way, Dan and Chris Powers, the Empty Netters podcast, check them out wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube, they do an awesome job covering the NHL. All part of Almost Friday Media. Check them out on Instagram; they're a fantastic follow. But Dan, this series between New Jersey and Carolina, New Jersey isn't the team that really physically is going to wear down on Carolina. It feels like as this series goes along, even if it goes to 5 games, they might be, in terms of playoff fresh, feeling pretty good going into that second round.
No question about it. I think this is the best round Carolina could have asked for. Honestly, you're looking at the Washington-Montreal series. Obviously, Washington off to a good start, but it's very clear in watching those games, Montreal's scrappy. They're young, they're quick, they're fresh. And you're seeing Washington get a couple of wins here, relying on how heavy they are for sure. And it was really never in the cards Washington and Carolina would see each other in the first round, but that is a matchup that might be coming down the pike here, where that is going to be a lot more banging bodies, intense, gritty. So yeah, you get this Devils team, even with Jack Hughes. I would have picked Carolina in the series. It's just the Devils, they're on a good trajectory, but it's not their year. even with Markstrom. Carolina just looks so deep, so strong, playing as a cohesive unit. And it is kind of nice. You're looking at this series. You've got this younger, lighter Devils team that's not really banging you around too much. And yeah, you get through this in 4 or 5 games. You're not beat up too much. You get some more time to rest, get more time for Freddie to rest, get some practices in. You could not ask for a better first round setup for Carolina right now, the way it's looking.
Say it with me, Dan. It could be just what they needed.
It could be.
Because truly, Dennis, it feels like, and no disrespect to the Devils organization, Dan said a ton of injuries and everything. I think that team has such a bright future. But right now, I almost view this as a tune-up playoff round for the Canes. Like, they got a team that they were like, we can comfortably beat them. We can get out of this healthy. We can get our stars going. We can get Freddie seeing the puck and then really roll that into some tough matchups coming up on the Eastern Conference. So I think they're thrilled.
And you mentioned the depth scoring guys. And one thing that we've seen from Carolina, or actually we say we haven't seen from Carolina, is that top line of Sebastian Aho, Jackson Blake, and Seth Jarvis, outside of Jarvis' empty netter that he had the other night. Shout out to you guys. But outside of that, the top line really hasn't been going. It's actually been Jordan Staal, Jordan Mark, and Logan Stankoven. It's been those guys, William Carrier, Eric Robinson, all chipping in different ways on the offensive end, which are bigger body guys, like, well, except for Stankoven, but these guys that play a heavier style. I can only imagine, Chris, to start with you, if the top line for Carolina gets going, they might be white hot possibly going into that second round series, potentially against Washington.
Couldn't agree more. We even said coming into the playoffs, because there's always some guys, every deep playoff run, there's a star on that team that goes cold, and the fans are freaking out, and it's a nightmare to watch, and they got the monkey in the back, and it's stressful, but it happens every year, right? And you cannot win the cup without guys on your bottom, middle 2 lines, let's call it, scoring some goals. I love the Stank Man. Playoff Stank Man, we said was coming, and he showed up immediately. We love watching Taylor Hall in the playoffs. I think he's only has 2 assists right now, but he almost got one over the line in game 2, but he's everywhere. Those guys make such a massive difference in this run, and it lets the stars go, I know you need me eventually, but thank you for picking me up right now. Picking me up, and then I'll get you back round 2 or whenever it is,
I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to go full spin zone here. I actually think it's the greatest thing in the world when you are up in a series and your big boys aren't scoring.
Yeah.
Because, I look at a guy like Sebastian Aho, and I'm like, you're going to get scoring. Blakey too. Like, you're going to get scoring. I'm not worried about you. It is that secondary scoring that you need to win a cup. And if that's not going, you will eventually hit a wall. It happens every single year to multiple teams. It's happened to the Bruins for the last 10 years. So it's awesome that they're winning games with some of these guys like Martinook. Ghost is getting on the score sheet. That's huge. I think it's exactly what you want. And if you get through, let's say they sweep or win in 5, and you don't really have that first line with a lot of goals, it's the best thing in the world. Because then you just go into practice, you take more time, you get those guys going because they will get going. I love it. That's the spin zone for me. It's if your second and third line and some of your D like Ghost there are getting goals for you and you're winning games, ideal. Yeah, truly ideal.
That's Dan Powers and Chris Powers, Empty Netters podcast. Again, make sure you check them out wherever you get your podcasts. They're joining us here on The Drive. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Let's go to Logan Stankoven. Dan, I'll start with you on this one. A little bit of an unconventional way to get him on the roster, giving up Marty Necas and Jack Drury to get Rantan in. They trade Rantan in to get Stankoven with some bunch of picks and all that stuff coming in return. But sometimes I feel like with us here locally, we're a little bit too deep into it. So it's nice to get an outside perspective on the way the Carolina Hurricanes have been playing since Mikko Rantanen's gone. It seems like the cohesion on the team, at least from our perspective, they're much more cohesive. Everyone's bought in together, and everyone seems to have fit perfectly into their roles.
The dramatics, man.
Yeah.
The dramatics that came
pure
into
drama.
play with that whole situation. That was actually a very fascinating time because Canes fans, smaller market, holy moly, do you bring the passion every single day. And when that whole saga was going down, the amount of Canes fans sliding into our DMs, losing their minds, some of them yelling at us because we were saying this is a bad look. And I'll double, triple down. The way it all went down with Rantanen, tough look for the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
That said, incredible response. You get him. Sounds like he doesn't want to stay. He's clearly not playing the way he can play or the way he should be playing while he was there. You got to get rid of them. And you know what? You got a good return. Got good picks, and Stankoven is a great player now playing in your top 6. And I think the coolest thing about it has been like, yeah, sure, that was a really tumultuous, little over a month, but you get the job done. You don't let it linger. You don't try to hope, oh, Rantan gets in his groove here in Carolina and we'll see what happens in the summer. No. You make a deal happen and you move forward. You get it out of your sight, out of mind, and you start playing with this new, young, exciting player. And the way that the team, man, the way that these guys have gone, this will not be a distraction, and we will not allow the narrative of people saying big stars don't want to play here. They're not good enough. They've been fantastic since that trade, and they're rolling it right into playoffs. It's as good of vibes as you could possibly ask for. And you know what? I think it's awesome that Stank gets on the score sheet twice in game 1, and you've got Rantan here who hasn't scored once in Dallas yet. So it's just like the vibes are high. Do you love it?
Dan, I'll even add on to that, because having the stones to move on from Rantan and knowing what the public is going to say, knowing what people like us are going to say on a podcast, having the stones to go, listen, he's not going to stay. Let's get something while we can.
Yes.
And I thought they got great return, considering the narrative was like, he's not going to resign. Your hands are tied, but they got great return. And I'm stealing this take from you, Dan. This Canes team for years, frankly, has felt disrespected. They say no one talks about us. We always get written off. Even though we have great regular seasons, we're never the pick. I think they took that energy and doubled it because of this Rantan thing. It's like the chip on their shoulder got so much bigger after this that they were like, we don't get talked about ever. This Rantan thing happened. Now everyone's not talking about us. Everyone's if they are talking, they're laughing. And they were like, watch what we do now. And I'm seeing that on the ice. Like they look like a team that they're doing that us against everybody. Nobody believes in us thing. And they are buzzing right now.
That they are. Couldn't agree more with you guys. Again, that's Dan Powers, Chris Powers, Empty Netters podcast. I'm going to bring a part of one element of your guys' podcast right here on the drive. That is the blind ranking. So I'm going to have you guys blind rank 1 through 5 Carolina Hurricanes players based off this season and what they're looking like currently right now. Not their all time. We're talking about right now.
And we're counting playoffs too.
Counting playoffs as well.
Okay.
So we're going to go current Carolina Hurricanes players, blind ranking 1 through 5. Let's go ahead and start things off. Andrei Svechnikov.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
No.
Low key, maybe the most handsome guy in the NHL too.
He might be.
Michigan machine. And Dan, I think
I will not go lower than 3.
Really?
Yeah,
I was afraid.
I will not.
But there are some guys that I want that are surprising that I almost want to show love to, that I would almost put higher. Like, could he be a 4?
He could.
Could
we
he
want
be
to
a
get
4?
greedy, but I like 3.
He could be a 2, honestly, though.
No, because there's a couple that we're gonna go 3.
Are you sure? I hate a 3.
Then 4.
Okay,
3 or 4. You have to make the call.
Okay, 4.
Wow, I didn't do it, Svetch.
He's had a little bit of a tough season this year.
Yeah,
he's had a very tough season this year. All right, so Andrei Svechnikov, you have 4. Next one up, Jacob Slavin.
1.
Actually, you're right, dude.
and I say that knowing that our dear friend might show up on this list, and he will understand. Jacob Slavin is the best defenseman in the NHL, and I don't frankly think it's close. More people need to know about how insanely good he is and what a good human being he is. 1.
What a coming out party, too. We talked about Dennis, but 4 Nations was absolutely insane. He's been riding that wave. We actually have been talking to some guys recently that played international hockey, and hearing them say what you can take from those tournaments and bring to your regular season is so awesome. You're seeing it with Slavin. Stud.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone got to see what we've been saying for years about Jacob Slavin and the 4 Nations. Okay, so you have Svechnikov 4, Jacob Slavin at number 1. Next one, Jordan Staal.
Oh, I almost want to go 2 here, Dan. I almost want to go 2.
We can't.
Dude, he is ageless. He's timeless, dude.
He's so timeless.
That line is doing everything. That third line is the best line on the team right now.
Coxie, it's been funny. I feel for us, growing up Bruins fans for years, just having a guy like Patrice Bergeron doing his thing. And then we live out here in LA now, and you watch Kopi doing his thing. Just these guys, these two-way centers, defensive masters. It's just so valuable to have on a team. And, while maybe not as good as a guy like Patrice Bergeron or Anze Kopitar, Jordan Staal,
dude, legend,
just such a ledge. Like that number is going to be retired in Carolina. And God, I can't go 2.
You might have to be 2.
No, I can't go 2, but I'm happy to go 3.
Okay, fine. You gave me 4. I'll give you 3. We'll go 3.
All right, 3.
All right, so 3 for Jordan Stahl. By the way, you mentioned Patrice Bergeron, probably my favorite player of all time.
Oh my
All right,
God.
next one up here. You guys love him, Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, that's why we keep two open.
That's why we keep two
That's
open.
why we keep two open.
Listen, and I know he's only got one so far, but it was a very, very valuable empty netter
Yes,
for
it
his
was.
boys. So we appreciate that very much, Jarvie. That was awesome.
I mean, yeah, people who know our podcast don't need to hear us wax poetic about Jarvie. He's the best guy in the world and an incredible player.
A future mega star. He's
we're-
already a star, but a future mega star.
We're on the road to 50 goals.
Yeah, we are.
We're skipping right over 40. We're on the road to 50.
Only scratching the surface about his stardom, that guy is. All right, so right now you have number 1, Jacob Slavin, number 2, Seth Jarvis, number 3, Jordan Stahl, number 4, Andrei Svechnikov, leaving number 5 open for Sebastian Aho.
Oh man,
Sebastian Aho, number 5 on your blind
You know what,
ranking
though,
list.
dude?
Sorry, Fishy.
You know what? Has he scored yet? Has he scored yet in the playoffs?
Yeah,
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
so
He did have an
listen,
assist on Gossespear's goal in game
He
2.
did. He
so
did.
listen, it's not my ideal 5.
It's motivation.
It's motivation.
Yeah, we're putting him at 5 because we know how he responds when people doubt him. That's the only reason, and this is perfect.
And you know what? I was actually afraid that was going to be Freddie, and that would have been an actual dagger.
Yeah, that was
so I'll take Fish.
I was hoping you were going to go Chatfield, and I could be like, that's
Hey, Chatty's my guy. Chatty really is my
Yeah,
guy.
me
He's
too.
really good dude, by the way.
It was the hip toss. The
Hey,
hip toss scared me.
Hey, Coxie, before we're done, I have a question for
Yeah.
you. I have 2 questions for you.
Hit me.
Question 1, who has filled the Jack Drury-sized hole in your heart on this version of the Carolina team? And question 2, explain to me why it's Jackson Blake.
Why it's Jackson Blake? Oh no, actually, I mean, Sean Walker was like coming into this season.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
Sean Walker, I was a big fan of watching him. I was happy that he got traded to Colorado last year. I was like, okay, this guy has a chance to do some big stuff. But no, it's actually Sean Walker has been that
Great
guy
pick.
for me.
Yeah, I love
so yes,
that.
actually, it's been Sean Walker. But I'm not gonna lie, Jackson Blake, the stuff that guy actually does that doesn't always show up in a stat sheet, like he retrieves pucks. Like there's a scrum of 5 guys bigger than him in the corner. He's the one that comes out with it. It's amazing what that guy does. He might actually be the most skilled in terms of actual puck handling on the team. He might be the most skilled. And he's only going to get better.
His take across the goal when he got tripped by I forget who got him. Maybe he shares some. But yeah, that like what a move, dude. It's such a dynamic player. I love watching him.
Yeah, he's quality.
He's really good. And there's about a 20-game stretch where he was just creating offense left and right. And then he just, for some reason, it's like, wait, he hasn't scored in 20, 21 games or whatever it is, but he was creating offense left and right. And then when he actually finally got one to go, he had like 8 goals in 7 games. It's like, okay,
you knew it was
makes
coming. He's going to be great.
Such a beauty.
Yeah, and for a 3rd-round pick too. That's not a bad pick at all. All right, that's good. That's Dan Powers. That's Chris Powers. Empty Netters podcast. Again, check them out if you just want to follow anything regarding the NHL and the playoffs. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on YouTube. Whatever you find your podcast, check them out as well. Guys, thanks for your time. Really do appreciate it. Keep up the great work,
Brother, always good to see you, man. Happy to join.
Go Canes, baby.